So I woke up that morning with a stomach ache, and we had a baptism that evening. So we had to get the font ready, fill it up, because it takes a while, like hours and hours and hours. So we, and then finding a key to the chapel is fun. So we first had to find a key and then get in, fill up the font. And this whole time I just had a horrible stomach ache. And I thought it was just something that I ate. And then, so we started the font, we left, locked everything up while it was filling up, and then we started proselyting. In fact, we ran into a guy, started teaching him a quick little lesson to see if we can come and visit at his house. And no joke, while my companion was talking to him, we were just standing there in the middle of the road. I put my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, Elder, keep talking. I'm going to go sit down. Like, I couldn't stand anymore. It was really bad. And so he's like, Elder, are you okay? And this is my very first area, by the way. I was maybe 2 or 3 months into the mission. And I'm like, I think so. I think it's just something that I ate wrong. So can I go take a nap or something? Because I cannot function. So we went home, I took something, fell asleep, and then we had to wake up and make sure the font was okay. And it was just kind of sore, didn't really hurt. And that evening, I was getting ready. I was actually getting dressed, in my whites to baptize a gentleman. And right when I got ready, I opened up the stall and it just hit me. I fell right to the floor and started hyperventilating. And I lost feeling from my waist down because I was hyperventilating and taking in too much oxygen. I just was in so much pain. The guy that I was supposed to baptize, he came in because he heard something, and he got my companion. And they lifted me up. They called a taxi, threw me in the backs of a taxi, and here I am just hyperventilating. and they're like, yeah, we're taking you to the hospital. We don't really know what's wrong. So they rushed to the hospital, and I was kind of more worried about his baptism. I'm like, no, you've got to get baptized, man. Like, come on. But so I remember, see, it's kind of a blur, but I remember being on a bed. It seems like everything they make is smaller in Peru, including beds, probably because they're a little bit on the shorter side. And so I really don't know why, but so the beds that we slept in anywhere, they were just like my ankles hit the banister. It just was never, or whatever that's called, and it was never big enough. But so I remember getting into the hospital bed and my knees were propped up, and then they took an x-ray and they checked me out and they're like, no, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. But just in case it's appendicitis, just in case, we're going to hold you overnight and see how you feel in the morning. That was the most horrible night next to the earthquake night ever in Peru, because it was so hard to sleep with my knees up. Your knees get all locked up and stuff like that. But so they come in, okay, Elder, how do you feel? I feel horrible. Okay, it's appendicitis. I'm like, oh no. I really thought I was going to die. That would be the first time I thought I was going to die in the mission. And I don't know if that's common or not, but multiple times I thought I was going to die in the mission. So the nurse came in. How do you feel? Not very good. You have appendicitis. Okay, we need to prep you for surgery. Now, anybody who's had surgery before knows, especially guys in that area, how they prep people. So they shaved me down, and I really didn't know what they were doing because they just pumped me through. They pumped me with so many meds, okay? I really didn't know what was going on. And they laid me down. The doctor came in and said, okay, you ready for the surgery? This is all in Spanish, okay? All in Spanish. And I'm 2-3 months in? I'm A, learning Spanish, B, getting prepped to have appendicitis in a Peruvian hospital. My immediate thought was, I'm going to die. And I said it out loud. I just kept saying, I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to have my last wish. Like, I'm like, what am I going to think of? Have the last thought in my head before I die. And the doc's like, die. And I'm like, oh, I'm totally going to die now. He's like, don't worry, you're not going to die. He puts the mask on me, and I got to like 99. I'm out like a light. Next thing I know, I wake up propped up in bed with maybe 8 nurses surrounding my bed. Peruvians have a fascination with Americans, they call it, but it's there's a running joke like, well, you're American, so no, you're North American. It's like, okay. So they're just like, ooh, a white boy in bed, like, look at him. I'm still pumped full of I'm still pumped full of meds that I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I totally died. Like, where am I? And so the doc came. He said, yeah, everything was okay, and come to find out that the mission was currently switching from the hospital I was in to a better hospital in Lima, because this hospital does shady things during surgery. Come to find out, I'm like, oh, great. And just a little aftermath. What the doctor had done to sew me up, I swear, he just took the closest shoelace he could find and just wove it in, like not normal stitching. And so, 4 weeks or however long it was afterwards to get my stitches out, he somehow got me distracted, and he snipped, the ends, and then he just took one end and yanked it out. Just yanked it right out. Like, didn't even give me warning. And again, he got me distracted somehow. He just yanked it out, and I was like, yeah! Like, oh, I really don't know. To be honest, anything that's wrong with me now, I blame it on that event. Yes. So that's kind of the experience of my appendicitis.